Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Iain Livingstone, the Chief Constable of Scotland, has said that he defends his officers over the handling of Operation Branchform, the investigation into the finances of the SNP. Of course, he's defending it from accusations from political side, saying that it was overhanded, it was over the top rather, and heavy-handed, and that it was sort of very intrusive, and it was held and performed in a very bad way. I think he needs to be defending himself more from the operational side. Why, for example, was not everyone brought in all at once? Why were there so many delays? Why was there a very large opportunity for evidence to be hidden or destroyed? Why was nobody brought in at the same time to stop them conniving and coming up with, plausible stories? This sort of thing. Why, in fact, was the investigation handled so badly? Was it deliberate? That's what he needs to be defending, not on the political side of being a bit, it was a bit unexpected, it was a bit quick. Don't you think he went over the top investigating this? I think he's picking his wrong battle. Anyway, we'll have a look at this article and see why he's defending his officers and why the operation really should have been handled by an outside force, one more capable of getting on with the job without considerations from his political masters. Here goes. Operation Branchform, Police Chief rejects attacks over the SNP probe. But as I say, they're not the attacks that we need him to defend himself against. So the Chief Constable of Police Scotland has vigorously defended the force's investigation into SNP finances from attacks by former aides to Nicola Sturgeon, but not defending himself from the attacks from everyone else. He's picking his very careful battles. He's picking his battles very carefully, should I say. So Iain Livingstone, who is stepping down from his role on August the 10th, going off to spend some time with his pension, described the actions taken during the long-running Operation Branchform as proportionate and necessary. No, it wasn't enough in terms of proportionality. You didn't go far enough. But it was, I grant you, very much necessary. But given how necessary it was, do you think it should have been handled in such a slapdash, slipshod way? Noel Dolan, a former special advisor to Miss Sturgeon, last month described the search on April 5th at the home of Glasgow, which included the erection of a forensic tent being in front of the house and the search of the SNP headquarters in Edinburgh, as very heavy-handed and completely over the top. Well, he will say that, wouldn't he? He's losing his job. Murray Foote, a former head of communications for the SNP at Holyrood, last month compared the ongoing probe to the failed Rangers prosecution. He said it was found to be malicious by the Crown Office and more than £51 million in public money has been paid out to those wrongly arrested in the course of the investigation. Yes, but this is an entirely different thing. This is exposing corruption in the highest office. And of course, we've already seen that that money is definitely missing from the accounts. And so there is, I suspect, proper evidence of fraud. So this one is entirely different. The action we take in any investigation is always based on the proportionality and need and the orders of the SNP. I mean, he didn't say that, but it was clear that this was the case. He says, I am satisfied that the police action under Branchform has been proportionate. Mr Livingstone told the Herald when asked about Mr Dolan's comments. It's not been proportionate enough, let's put it that way. You should have gone in and actually done the job properly. People are passing comment when they don't know the details of the investigation. Assertions and criticisms which are uninformed I don't think help anyone. They can interfere with the rule of law, they can infringe the rights of the individuals. Yes, but what about the rights of the people to not be defrauded? What about the rights of the nation not to be led by crooks? Do they have rights? Pressed on Mr Dolan's remarks that the search of Miss Sturgeon and Mr Murrell's home and that the SNP headquarters was very heavy-handed, he replied, we wouldn't have carried out the action we took if we thought it was heavy-handed. You didn't carry it out fast enough, and why didn't you arrest her at the same time? You're not answering the questions that need to be asked. The action carried out was proportionate and necessary, he said. The Chief Constable was then asked about Mr Foote's claims that the investigation could end up being a wild goose chase, result in questions about the police's actions. Mr Livingstone said, media commentators, individuals, are obviously entirely at liberty to say what they wish to say. It is wholly inaccurate to suggest that there's any other motivation or intent from our inquiry other than to do the right thing. Well, you haven't yet. At every stage of this investigation, you've delayed, you've mismanaged, you've deliberately obfuscated, you've missed data, you've missed witnesses, you've allowed the potential perpetrators to connive and create their storylines. You've failed to make the arrests on time. You waited 2 weeks between, going in. And I know this wasn't the police. This was the criminal justice system. Deliberately waited 2 weeks till after an election. This whole thing smacks of corruption. It smacks of manhandling and deliberate manhandling. So that obviously it will come to the point where they say, well, there's no evidence, and these people will get off scot-free and go off and enjoy time with the money. That 600,000 will never turn up, will it? Anyway, he says, I can't put any... Mr Livingstone would not say whether he believes Police Scotland's Operation Branchform will be completed by the time he left force in August. He says, I can't put any time limit on that. The investigation will take its course. It shouldn't be driven by political timescales, and it shouldn't be driven by personal timescales that I or any other officer has. Not driven by political timescales. That is quite clearly what has happened. He's talking about things there of which he knows it's absolutely false. This whole investigation has been political. Prior to Operation Branchform, Police Scotland also carried out a high-profile investigation into allegations made against First Minister Alex Salmond. I'm not going to regurgitate the Salmond thing. That came out. He went to court. He won his case. Despite what I think of him, what I think of his politics, the man did have his day in court. He was innocent, and we have to accept that. And I do accept that. When I say we have to accept that, it sounded like I didn't believe it. I do. I don't think Salmond was guilty of that. I think that was a political smear by... Actually, I think it was a political smear by the Sturgeon team. And I wouldn't put it past them. We've got no evidence of that. It's just speculation. But it's my belief that that was the case. Anyway, I shall round off here. I shall come up and we shall finish the video. I mean, does he take us for fools? That there was no political timetabling involved in this investigation? What a load of rubbish. And also, why is he defending it against those who are attacking from the Sturgeon side? And why isn't he explaining why all those manhandled bits, missing information, why wasn't the three of them arrested at once, or four of them? They've not even touched Kirsten Oswald yet. But why weren't they all arrested at once? That's the standard procedure when you're dealing with organised crime like this. I think there's been political influence from day one. I think they've been forced to do it because of political influence. One way it's become so obvious that to not have an investigation would seem suspicious, and so they've deliberately made every decision the wrong decision. They've dragged it out. They've allowed basically evidence to be made to go missing. People's recollection, it's such a long time ago now. All that crap. I don't think there'll be any charges in the end. I think it's been deliberately done like that. I think another investigation needs to be started by an outside force, and going in with the basic premise that something bad has happened, and then investigating all the senior police officers involved in this investigation. Find out what happened, and if there is evidence of malfeasance, put those people back in jail and take their pensions from them. And if Ian Livingstone is found to have committed any kind of perversion of justice over this, he goes and does 3-4 years in prison, and he comes out and he hasn't got his pension. And that's, I should think, would be the fair punishment for him. And that'll teach him for listening to his political overlords rather than getting on and doing the damn job he's paid for. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. Always know that the police are hand in hand with the authorities. It's all one big con, and goodbye.